Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the challenges and opportunities with building a template for the marketplace. So recently at Morpht we've developed a site template called Convivial Gov that was recently released onto the marketplace. And I'll be telling you about a few of the ups and downs, trials and tribulations of going through that process and a few lessons learned along the way as well. At the moment in Drupal, there's just so much going on. There's many different initiatives. Drupal is really innovating in a number of areas, and of course the marketplace is just one of them. The innovation we're seeing is largely due to the changing landscape and the competition that we're seeing from other CMSs and just more generally what's hitting us in the web world. Of course, we have Drupal CMS, and that's what the site templates are built on. That's been basically repackaging reusable sort of chunks of functionality in a user-friendly way for rapidly building out Drupal sites. We have Canvas, a lot of innovation there in the way we actually are building out pages. We have the Drupal AI initiative as well that's operating along side of these, and that is also being included into Drupal CMS. I also don't want to forget about Drupal core and contrib as well. Whilst there's a lot of activity going on in these main initiatives, there's also really great work being done in core and contrib, and we don't want to forget about those guys. One of the things that sort of binds all of this together is the way Drupal certified partners are coming out and supporting a lot of this work. Certainly in the first three there in all these initiatives, the certified partners have either been putting up real financial money, funds, in the case of the Drupal AI initiative, as well as people sponsoring full-time employees to actually work on these. And finally, we have the marketplace and site templates, and that is bringing a lot of this together in one place. So let's go on and have a look at the marketplace. Now, just 1 year ago, Dries floated the idea of the marketplace on his blog. He was just raising the concept of having site templates that were available for download, but also potentially having those site templates being available in a commercial way. And so the waters were tested and things went ahead, and the marketplace was launched, DrupalCon Chicago, in March this year. So really a 1 year turnaround from it being a concept to being released. That little graphic I've got up there is the one that was on Dries's blog post, and you can see there's a number of different verticals there, different sort of niche markets that each of the site templates could fulfill. Currently, there's only a handful of them, but very much the vision is to have potentially thousands of these different templates delivering different functionality for different audiences. What we have now on the marketplace, as I said, it's a nice handful of site templates that have been delivered by different vendors. A couple of them ship natively with Drupal CMS, and then other vendors have come forward and built their own. The one up the top left there is Convivial Gov. That's the one we've built at Morpht, and I'll be making a reference to that during the presentation. Let's have a look at some of the patterns that we're seeing. I think this is really quite interesting to see what best practices are emerging in the area. Firstly, in terms of the verticals, we've seen a lot of sort of templates coming about in the areas of healthcare, education, and government. That's no surprise there, really. That's Drupal's sort of strengths. There are other ones, and you would definitely expect sort of more verticals to come about as time goes on. In terms of the frameworks being used, it's interesting to see Tailwind is now sort of emerging. I wouldn't say it as a default, but it's certainly a popular choice. That the templates inside Drupal CMS are using Tailwind, and indeed what we're using at Morpht is Daisy UI, which is based on Tailwind. You still have Bootstrap and certainly total custom themes from the ground up, but it's interesting to see how sort of momentum is shifting towards Tailwind. Obviously, for the page building experience, a lot of it is in Canvas. That was one of the main drivers of the marketplace, was to support Canvas and the evolution of that. Some of the suppliers are also supporting blocks and paragraphs to help building out pages on nodes as well. But certainly, from what I've seen, the main focus is on page building on Canvas. The capabilities, Drupal CMS has been built to be a composable system where you have different encapsulated bits of functionality that can be turned on to build out a site. In terms of the marketplace, when we were building out our template, we were taking, talking about the wrong point there, but I'll go on here, the structure. When we were building it out, we were building out more of a monolithic structure where all of the configuration and the default content was getting wrapped up and bundled together as one. So we're not really taking an encapsulated approach there, and that was really just for getting speed of delivery of building out the template. In terms of the capabilities, even though the marketplace is designed to be based around verticals, I think 90% of the effort really is going into horizontal components, building out the SDCs and how the single directory components and how they work in with Canvas. That's 90% of the effort, I would say. Building out the vertical based on top of that is just the next step. And we've seen certain vendors delivering different verticals basically based on the same theming engine. So I think that's a pattern we're going to be seeing. It's still very early days as well. It's a pilot. We're currently working through a few of the wrinkles and things like that. There's many more developments to come in terms of Canvas and AI, and it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over the time. When we decided to join the marketplace, we had to agree to a certain set of conditions, all based around quality. We had to commit to supporting Canvas and tracking all the changes and developments that will happen. So as new things come, the templates will be moving alongside. We also had to follow along with the best practices that was in Drupal CMS. Have a look at how things are being put together, and sort of build on top of that. So we're really trying to extend out what is in Drupal CMS so it's a consistent experience. Of course, the templates have to be maintained and secure. They also have to be accessible, and we also have to provide support channels. So the marketplace is not just some code that you download. There's a whole ecosystem around ensuring quality. Finally, it is potentially a commercial ecosystem as well. Certain site templates may be premium in that you can pay to access those, but there will also be services that can be based off that. So the agencies delivering these templates can obviously provide services to fully extend it. In terms of how the relationship goes between the DA and the vendor, it's a symbiotic relationship. The Drupal Association has a nice sort of marketplace showcasing what's possible with Drupal CMS. They also get a cut of the revenue as well, so it's like a self-funding mechanism there. And of course, the vendors are getting exposure, and the end user wins as well. So that's quite an interesting sort of perspective on it there, how the commercial ecosystem has been set up. This is a screen grab of what we've delivered, Convivial Gov. It's obviously based in the government space, and you're looking at the homepage there. I'm going to take you through, the usual suspects. I just got to do a shout out to the team who worked on this. It really was a big effort. With UX, design, front end, back end, DevOps, and also a little bit of AI in there as well. It was really quite a team effort. So thank you to everyone who worked on it. Okay, I'm just going to take you through the installation just so you can see how simple it is to get up and running with a template. So as you can see there's a project called Drupal CMS. That's what it's based on. And then we're just requiring the Convivial Gov code from Drupal. So we've got a little demo here of just how that installation process goes on DDev. This is just running through those commands you saw. It's pulling the code down, installing the site, the config, and also all the default content as well is coming in and being populated into the site. So once that runs through, we've got a site ready to rock and roll. And we'll just have a little bit of a quick click through. This is the homepage showcasing some of the components that we've built out. All this has been done with SDCs and Canvas. We also have a demo section on our site. This is to show people what's possible, the certain patterns that are common, but it's also like a testing ground for us to make sure all of our stuff works. You'll see here that we've got use of different color palettes for different sections on the site, and this is a really key part of what we've built out. And a lot of these components are from Daisy UI as well, including this final one down here, which is a nice little one called the diff, just showcasing differences between two images. Anyway, that's a few of the components there. We're going to jump back to the home page and log in now, and we'll be using the Gin sort of login theme comes with Drupal CMS and also in what we've got here. We've logged in, we're coming back to the home page, and we're on a Canvas page, and we're going to just have a bit of a edit and see how that goes. So over in the left-hand side here, you can see like a tree of all the different sections that are there and the various components that we have. And in the right-hand side, you're able to edit those props that are on that component. So we're just making changes there, and that's reflected immediately in the front end there. So yeah, it's a great experience there. Thank you to the Canvas team for putting all of this together. It's certainly a big improvement on how we've built pages previously. So that is, we've published the page, and that's it. So that's a very quick little demo there of how easy it is to install and get up and running. And of course, the whole idea is to make Drupal more attainable for people, and I would say that's a pretty smooth process there. Okay, that's sort of what we've built. Let's go through the journey. Okay, so the presentation was all about some of the challenges and opportunities. So let's talk about those. Firstly, as someone works in an agency, I'm looking at Drupal, I'm seeing all these things coming through. As I've said, Canvas, AI, Drupal CMS, SDCs even, right? There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to get your head around. And getting involved with the marketplace was certainly one way to jump in the deep end so we could get our heads around all of that. The team could also skill up. It's very important. And as an agency, we're also keeping abreast of things and staying relevant in changing times. It also gave us a chance to iterate on the work we've done previously, with paragraphs and layout builder. It was yet another iteration of that, but we got a chance to refresh our approach. And finally, we've got the whole concept of being more efficient and delivering value and not just the plumbing. So definitely, going for this no-code approach in the theme and also in the components is very important. It wasn't finding, there is one more, and that is community. We wanted to be a maker, not a taker. And thank you. And Pam's clapping up there, and I got to say, in the crunch time just before Chicago, all these vendors had to deliver, and it truly was a gratifying, enjoyable experience working with the Drupal CMS team and the marketplace team, because everyone's coming together in terms of code and sharing ideas and knowledge. So that was a really fun experience. But there were risks, right? So when we were making the decision to get into the whole thing, we had to weigh stuff up, right? It was going to be a big investment in time and energy. I probably underestimated what that was. We didn't really use AI in building it out, but if I had my time again, I probably would have done that for certainly some of the things. we were basically refactoring stuff that already worked, right? We had a great system in Paragraphs and Bootstrap. We're now sort of moving over to Canvas and Daisy UI, so that was a little bit of pain. I was also a bet on the future, right? These technologies are, untested largely. It's all very new, cutting edge. So that was a little bit of uncertainty about the future. And of course, we had to pay the bills as well, so that was something to weigh up. But on balance, we went for it. We knew there would be costs, but the opportunities were great, and we wanted to keep abreast of things. So I want to take you guys through a few of the design decisions that we made and building it out. Hopefully this will maybe help you if you're undergoing a similar process. Firstly, Daisy UI. Yeah, so we shifted from Bootstrap to Daisy UI. When we were looking around, we saw sort of Tailwind, had some momentum, but I was never really a fan of, the way sort of classes were done there with Tailwind, but I certainly acknowledge it's incredibly flexible. Daisy UI is built on top of Tailwind, and if you go have a look at the components page of Daisy UI, you can see how structured it is. Not only does it follow the BEM structure, but it's got props and enumerations and slots that just map perfectly into the way single directory components work. So once we saw that was a no-brainer. Like, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel on these higher level components. Daisy UI was providing that for us. So basically we were just mapping those across. We had to also rethink how we did components. In Paragraphs world, you kind of have a one-to-one mapping from the editor experience down into the content model. But with Canvas, you have to sort of decompose things a little bit more. So each of our components sort of, we conceptualize them as being a container, content, elements, children, displays, backgrounds, behaviors. These are all different ways of us, thinking about how we put the site together. It's worth talking about sections as well. When we built Paragraphs in Paragraphs land, our paragraphs would have that heading and intro and like a basic layout, right? So it was a more sort of monolithic structure, if you want. It was all unified, and that was the level of work that the editor was working on. In Canvas, it is, a little bit more complicated. You have, say, a section component, and inside of that, you're dropping components into the slots there. So there's a mental model that the editor has to sort of, get over, right? Or understand how stuff gets put together. So whilst Canvas gives you more flexibility, more control, probably more amazing designs, you have to sort of know what you're doing a little bit more to get a good result. Verticals, well, originally we were building it out to be just like a general purpose site. And then, we saw that, the writing was on the wall and that really should be a vertical. So we moved across to focusing on government. But underneath, the content model is very generic. This is just a fairly common approach for, site building starter sites, I guess, for Drupal. We've got a nice handful of different content types there. Great for faceting, and sort of the foundations for personalization is there as well. So this is sort of our sort of starter set that we would be using. The theme, massive. You're shipping a template, and the theme plays such a large role, right? That's where the SDCs are, and you need to be able to drive those. So we just spent quite a lot of time at the start conceptualizing the perfect way we were going to be building out our theme. Now, there are modules out there that probably do similar things to this, but basically we built a structure based around skins, schemes like light mode, dark mode, different color palettes and whatnot. So yeah, this is what the admin interface looks like. It is a little bit imposing, you might say, but it basically captures a lot of flexibility there and allows like a no-code approach to completely building out whole color palettes that is going to work in light mode and dark mode. If you have a look at like an implementation of a single page here, we can see like the first one there is just like normal light skin. Then you've got like the dark mode, and then the other two are just different skins that have been applied. But it is the same content across all of them. Our colors handle not just backgrounds and foregrounds and links and focus, the basics. It also handles, textures, overlays, icons, and all the hard things like, tables and forms and things like that. The color really is baked in the whole way through. So every component has to be color palette aware. That's the way we had to think about things. And the way that all works is obviously you've got that massive form that collects the data, and that all gets passed through as CSS variables. And essentially the color scheme and the color palette are scoping those variables. So CSS variables for the win. It gives us amazing flexibility to do stuff like that. There were some challenges as well, and I'll just talk about one. We wanted to build the SDCs out to be platform agnostic. We do a lot of work in the GovCMS space, and basically there's not going to be any canvas in that world, right? So we have to be thinking about SDCs in a more pure sense, and then delivering paragraphs and canvas on top of that. So a little case study here on the images. It sounds simple, but it's not. And multiple times throughout the project, we probably had 5 people all pulling their hair out, working out how to do this, right? And just thinking this is not easy, right? So Drupal did a blog post about it, and that was helpful. But I'm just going to tell you how we've done it here. So Canvas is sort of special in that it's got to go find an image from the media browser, and the definition of an image in Canvas needs this ref to tell it how to do that. But a normal image, it's just an object, right? It doesn't need that aspect. So you actually have to, well, this is the way we've done it, set up 2 different components to handle that. So that's step 1. And in this case, Canvas is the special case. The data that they send through to the template is different. You have to handle that as well. That's like another mind-blowing thing. In the end, the way we did it is that our image template on the left there did some introspection on the image object. And in this case, it says if image SRC, which is a property on the Drupal Canvas one, it's a little bit dodgy, but it's basically a switch case going, okay, if it's a canvas, we're going to hand that off to Canvas image to render it, which handles all the complexity. Otherwise, we're just going to render out the normal image. And then the image canvas template just reuses that one. So in the end, we've basically got one component, the image one, that does all the heavy lifting, and Canvas is a special case. And we're just able to copy paste that image component now to Paragraphs Land and back to Canvas, and everything's good. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's the way we've got it working. Okay, guys, time for a few thoughts just on reflecting and a bit of a look at the future. The marketplace, I think it's a great thing, right? It's a testing ground. It's extending what has been done with Drupal CMS. It is a chance for the community to showcase all the great stuff they're capable of. And I do think there's going to be more rapid development as people look at what other people are doing and learn from other people, standing on the shoulders of giants. I think that's going to be a great thing that comes out of it. But I do think there are a few unanswered questions about it all too. Firstly, will it take off, right? These are very early days, and we've got to see the Drupal community adopt them. It's going to be great to see more templates coming through, as well as people picking it up externally. I think the hosting platforms, if they're able to pick it up and make an easy spin-up of these templates, that's just going to be huge, right? If you can really do no code and don't have to worry about the installation at all, that's going to be a massive win. Thirdly, is it commercially viable? The marketplace has been set up as a shop front, potentially, but is it going to be a shop front or a business card? And I get the feeling it's probably going to be more of a business card, like a showcase of what's possible. If you look at the templates we have there now, most of them are free. And I think the business model there is looking like the vendor is expecting our services to flow on from that. Also, how will Canvas and Drupal AI evolve? Like, these are massive things that are going on now. Canvas is still delivering stuff on the roadmap, and there's just an awful lot going on with Drupal AI there as well. Okay, I love finishing on a rise to the challenge. This is something we can all look to do. Agency owners, we heard it in the keynote this morning. You have your own agency. You can give effect to your own future, and basically we have to start focusing on maybe changing the way we're doing things and delivering value for the client in a more efficient way. Developers, there's an awful lot to learn, right? It's just getting your heads around SDCs and the basic patterns that are in Drupal Canvas and Drupal CMS and all of these things. There's so much to learn. SaaS platforms, and I am thinking like GovCMS here because that's what we sort of use a lot back in our day-to-day work. I think there's a lot that can be learned from Drupal CMS, and I'm not just talking about the big picture things like Canvas and AI, although they're big and sort of scary. I'm also just thinking about the smaller things like editor experience, how you're using metadata and just doing some of those things. There's just a lot that can be learnt there, and some of those utility modules could really make a difference. And basically, yeah, there's a lot to learn. The know-how needs to be shared. I'd like to do a shout out for Pam and her keynote tomorrow on Drupal CMS. We're really looking forward to that, and it's great to see a lot of talks at this conference around these kinds of technology. And finally, everyone, we have to adapt because the times are changing. Thank you. All right, so we've actually got 3 minutes. We got? Yeah, 3 minutes. Yeah, let's go. Do I have a mic? No mic. That's all good. I'll repeat the question if there's one. Yeah. Yeah, Julia. I'm going to be embarrassed to say because everyone's going to say, "Oh, you should do it way faster." But it's basically January to March, for two guys going full bore and me. But this was sort of learning a lot of stuff and just like working how we were going to get what we had over, because we did like SDCs Lite, which wasn't really quite properly encapsulated. We kind of just had to clean a lot of stuff up and get things better. But yeah, it was a big Q1 2026 was a lot of effort went into that. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be too much. Like we're just tracking along with the updates and making improvements. And there was, for instance, there was I forget the name of the module, but a field formatter thing for Canvas that makes it easier to build out full content types as well. So there's new things flowing through that will mean that we have to change the way we've implemented things. But I don't see it too much, but it is a full-on software project now. We're doing little mini releases like each week and things like there's just so much. It's a very fresh project, and it will require little tweaks and improvements and bug fixes as we go. Who knows, Julia? I know. No, you know what? I mean, Drupal people don't like paying for things, right? I mean, no, they don't. Like we've even if it's a small amount of money, they'll just say, who cares? But there's going to be a lot of great templates that people can just download and get up and running with anyway, without the need to. But that's the kind of market. Spin it up, start being the ambitious site builders that you are, and just go for it. So I think that's probably the main driver there. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Yep. Yes. I think there's expectations around support maintenance and updates and uptime and all of that for external people as well. So they may pay for it, but they're also going to want it like a Squarespace thing that's just, it's always on, it's always updated. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's always there. Mm. 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 Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hmm. That's right. I think Dreesa's blog post was just testing the waters for that, just to see what the reaction would be, and obviously it's gone forward. So yeah, I think there's agreement for that. Okay, just shout out, guys. My eyes are terrible for spotting hands. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't. I'm pretty blind. Yeah. 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 There is that UI suite, the UI suite team. They've got a Daisy UI implementation, and there is another Daisy UI. I forget what it's called, but there's another theme that's Daisy UI outside of that. Yeah. That's right, but each implementation's got its own little quirks, like how they want to do the props and slots, and how and what little bit of magic they're going to throw in, and they've got their own slightly different take on things. So yeah, but there are a couple of examples. Yeah, you can have a look at there too. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm scared of Layout Builder. No, I don't expose Layout Builder to clients. We do. Oops, sorry. We do build that as a templating system, but it's more for site builders. But yeah, this obviously is for. Oh yeah, well, so our in-house designer Matt, who does a lot of our sort of so, some of our site building, we've unleashed him on this, and he's enjoying it. He likes the feedback and the control, and I think he's enjoying that. But there is didn't talk about it today, but you also have the experience in the Node edit environment, like the structured content that is within Drupal that we all know and love, and that's still a bit of a missing piece of the puzzle for me. So in our implementation, we didn't implement any blocks or paragraphs. It's still, the node pages are still very plain, and that's a gap in what we've implemented. I was just talking to Pam yesterday about it. Like, we were sort of waiting for Canvas maybe to catch up to allow that to happen. It's coming, right? But oh, really? Yeah. It was on the roadmap. Then it seems to have disappeared. Yeah. So like, yeah. 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 Yeah, I know. It's making us rethink how we sort of do node pages as well. Are we going to be using paragraphs, or maybe we switch to media or embedding blocks or whatever? It's like there is a bit of a jumble up in my mind as to how do we tackle the node edit page. But we may probably still just go back to simple paragraphs there, but not fancy ones, but just more targeted, simple ones. Cool. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well, I don't. I don't really know the Canvas roadmap, but for instance, they are allowing multiple valued props and things like that now. So that's yeah, that's an improvement. But yeah, it like the node experience is so important, and I think yeah we will probably have to build out paragraphs to get that flexibility back into the node as well. So. You know, yeah, jury's out a little bit. I think maybe we might have Canvas for like the hardcore landing pages, the home page, landing pages, that kind of stuff where you really want that control, and then be going back to a more sort of structured approach, content-centric approach on the other nodes. Good. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming along.